What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Tuesdays with Turbo. And I did some research, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only crazy person that does a live insurance show every week for you guys and gals. But that's what I like to do. That's how I like to spread the education on your insurance policies, whether it's home, auto, life, business, you name it, we talk about it. And for those of you that do not know, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I am your insurance resource. And there is a lot of unknowns when it comes to insurance, so let me help you. And if you were with us last week, we debunked some auto insurance myths. So I figured if we're going to do it to one, we might as well do it to the other. So today we're going to be talking about home insurance myths, and not just so much home insurance myths, but home insurance myths that are kind of the season that we're in. You know, the weather's getting cooler, fall is in full effect. At least it's supposed to be getting cooler. It's supposed to be 80 degrees this weekend, so it is what it is. But nonetheless, these are going to be kind of some seasonal questions that we get asked a lot. And I'm not necessarily saying that they are myths, but these are some stuff as a homeowner you should know. And I'm going to preface this with a lot of these are company dependent. So keep that in mind. And if this is something that you're interested in, either let me know via a comment on this video, shoot me a message, or stay tuned for the how to get a hold of me here at the office. But or check with your current agent, because these a lot of these things, it is better to be proactive than reactive and kind of know where you sit with everything. So, and I know the title says top 5, but I've got some extras in here just because I'm actually doing this on Tuesday. So why not? Why not? So question number 1, does my insurance cover damage from falling trees or branches? And generally the answer to this is yes. One of the things you want to keep in mind is when we're talking about trees and branches is how much debris removal coverage do you have on your home policy? Some policies have a standard $500. Some companies have endorsements to where that you can increase that. So kind of keep that in mind. And when it comes to like your roof coverage, is your roof covered for replacement cost, or is it actual cash value or a depreciated value? These are all things that you want to be kind of proactive about. So if something does happen, you're not stuck with a huge bill or stuck with the misunderstanding that you did have replacement costs on your roof. So, and again, with the times they are changing, companies are changing their views on roof replacement. So kind of keep that in mind too. Number 2, am I covered for roof damage caused by snow or ice buildup? And again, this kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, you know, with the falling trees and branches, but this one is specifically talking about the roof. And the general answer is yes. It is yes, but there are some caveats to this. If the roof is in already bad shape or is already previously damaged, then you could be looking at either less coverage or no coverage at all. And so again, if the roof is in good shape, this happens, you know, there's a lot of ice buildup, and next thing you know, your roof is caving in, or it builds up to the point where ice and water get under the shingles and cause a lot of damage there. Then you would be looking at, you know, a possible claim situation. However, one big tip is, if there is a lot of ice and snow buildup on your roof, please do not go up there and try to shovel it off. Like I said, there's ice up there. You could slip and fall, and that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good for anybody. And the more you're on your roof, the more you can cause damage to the shingles, and you're just not looking at a good situation. So if this is a case, highly suggest a roof rake and make sure that's taken care of. Question number 3. Does my policy cover water damage from burst pipes? And again, the general answer here is yes. However, there is a caveat to this. There needs to be a primary heating source for the home. And what I mean by that is, you know, most of the time in our primary homes, we have, you know, natural gas, LP gas, you know, a wood boiler, something like that, that is a primary heat source. Electric can be primary as well, just as long as it's baseboard and not, you know, just you know, the electric heaters, sitting in the middle of the room. Those can supplement the primary heating source, but there needs to be a primary heating source in the home. And we see this a lot with like seasonal homes, cabins, things of that nature, where people just winterize their house and turn off all the electric, all the heat, because they're not using it. So in that particular instance, there would not be coverage for burst pipes. But if there is a primary heating source and all the attempts to mitigate or to not have something go bad like this, then yes, there would be coverage there. And before I get on to number 4, if you guys and gals have any questions, please drop them in the comments here. I do see we do have a few folks watching the live show, but yeah, please feel free to share this on your timeline, because even though some of these might not pertain to you, I guarantee there's someone on your timeline that would benefit from this information. Okay, so number 4, kind of getting back, kind of going along that same lines with the heating. What if my heating system fails and causes damage? Am I covered? And again, the general answer to this is yes, if the heating system fails due to a caused or covered, or by a covered event. And what I mean by that was there a power outage? And when the power came back on, your HVAC unit is fried. Is there, there has to be a covered event. It cannot be because of lack of maintenance or age of the unit or anything like that. That's just normal wear and tear and upkeep. If you can show that the damage was, or the heating system failed because of a particular event, then there might be some coverage. So keep that in mind. And this, when it comes to insurance, it is not a repair policy. So any of the normal wear and tear, if you've got a 30-year-old furnace and it happens to go out, just because it's old, then insurance is not going to give you any coverage there. Number 5, and like I said, the title says top 5, but I got some extras. I'm feeling frisky today. Does homeowners insurance cover temporary lodging if my home becomes unlivable due to a winter storm? And the answer here is yes. There are some caveats to this as well. This would, the way I take the question is, if there's a power outage and my home is not livable, am I able to get a hotel and claim that on my insurance policy? And generally, like I said, the answer is yes. That would be considered additional living expense, but you would be subject to your deductible. This one in particular, the last agency I worked at, we did have a claim situation where, and I'm trying to remember, this is pre 2020. So there was a situation where an elderly woman, her daughter, and her daughter's daughter, so her granddaughter. So we had the granddaughter, mid-30s. Grandma was in her 70s and not in such great health, and the great granddaughter, who was like 7 or 8 months old. There was a power outage. They had a very, very low deductible. So in this case, the company that we had them with did provide coverage for them to stay at a hotel, because it was wintertime, elderly folks, young kids. I mean, we're talking about more of a dire situation than if it was just me. And so yeah, the answer is yes, it is under your additional living expense, and again, subject to your deductible. So it's not if you do file a claim, take into consideration your deductible, and is it going to be worth it in the long run, because you will lose your claims free discount at that point. And to kind of piggyback off that, a whole different scenario, getting back to the first one, where maybe a tree or branch has fallen on your home and you cannot live there while the while the repairs are or in renovations are taking place. This, by all means, would fall under additional living expense, where you would be able to get coverage there uh, and have a very nice warm place to sleep at that point. Let's get into the bonus items here. Am I covered for liability if someone slips on ice on my property? This is where, if you followed me for any amount of time, liability equals lawsuit. Think of those two things hand in hand. That's what your liability coverage is for on your home policy. And this might be a good time to kind of, take a step back and what is my liability limit? What is it? I'm saying it as far as monetarily wise, the state minimum is 100,000, and most companies will write up to $1 million. And you might say, Ryan, $1 million, that sounds really expensive. A lot of times, the difference between $100,000 in coverage and $1 million in coverage might be less than $1 a month. And if you consider that, pennies on the dollar at that point, not even pennies, I mean, less than pennies on the dollar for the amount of coverage that you get. And this also is a good time to remind you that umbrella policies are available and are out there for you to purchase. Umbrella policies are excess liability policies that would not only give you up or at least a million more dollars in liability coverage on your home, but your auto, any rental properties that you have, any boats, toys, anything like that. They are very, very inexpensive. And kind of the trend that we're seeing here is that it, depending on how many drivers you have, how many vehicles you have, how many properties you have, it generally is at least, we're seeing that it's cheaper to have an umbrella policy than for it to be without. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you have a home and an auto, you're going to get a discount on the home and auto by adding an umbrella policy. And the discount you get for adding the umbrella is normally less expensive than the umbrella. So you're basically getting an extra $1 million worth of coverage for free most of the time. So, and I'm hammering this home because in the day and age that we live, how many of you have 1, 2, 4 Amazon drivers come to your house in a week? I know at my house they frequent. We'll have 2 and 3 a day. So not in these are, and it doesn't matter if it's someone that is supposed to be on your property or someone that's not. That's what your liability coverage is for. And the liability coverage would cover any of their medical expenses or legal expenses if it comes to that. So again, I will say it a million times before I'm done in this industry. I'm a huge proponent of umbrella policies, not only because of the price, but the actual coverage that they carry. And in today's sue happy society, you can never be too careful. The next one, what type of coverage do I need for damage caused by power outages? Again, this is very company dependent. And this, what I took of this is, we talked about power outages and what those can do to your electronics, your appliances, HVAC, anything like that, as well as food spoilage. And we've talked about that in the past as well, especially here, kind of not only in the times we're living, but the area we live in. Most of us have a deep freezer. If not, someone that does have a deep freezer. Either they get halves of beef, half hogs, or you're hunters and which the deer population is down this year, but in years past, you stock the freezer with venison, anything like that. If you have like my wife and I have a garden and we freeze a lot of our vegetables. Again, that's something that a lot of people don't think about, but when it comes to especially a power outage in the cold, it can be a lot different, and there's a lot of other factors that go into it. We've talked about medicine that needs to be kept, that needs to be kept in the refrigerator, and what happens when those go bad. So again, The answer is yes, but it's company dependent on how they handle it. Auto Owners in particular has a very good, there's two very good endorsements, the Homeowners Plus and the equipment breakdown coverage that I usually put on every single home policy I write with them, just because A, extremely inexpensive, and B, the coverage that they get, that they provide is spectacular. Is spectacular. Number 8, this is kind of the wild card one and kind of out there, and I haven't heard this yet, but I have a feeling at one point this will be a question that we get here at Abbott and Powers. Do I need additional coverage for holiday decorations or home improvements during the fall and winter? And this is kind of twofold. Okay, let's look at each one individually. Home improvements, they're if it's done by a licensed builder, they should have coverage for the building materials as well as the the liability that would ensue there. But as far as the home decorations, I kind of that kind of piqued my interest, because we're seeing nowadays a lot of folks do have quite a lot of money wrapped up into their holiday decorations, whether it be fall, winter, and it seems you can't even go into Menards or any of the home improvement stores and not see the giant inflatable insert thing here, whether it's an elf, Santa, whether it's skeletons, you name it, And there is I'm sure folks here in Marcellus are very aware of the quite elaborate setup that the folks in between here in Schoolcraft put on. I'm sure they have quite a lot of money wrapped up into their decorations. Now, would there be coverage for decorations in particular? The answer is maybe. The answer is maybe. It depends on what happened. If they're stolen, if they're damaged by, like a fallen branch, wind, any kind of storm, then yeah, there would be. If they're or if they're just stolen, let's put it that way. But if they just stop working, no. Again, we kind of talked about that with the HVAC and stuff like that. If it just stops working, no, there wouldn't be any coverage there. But if there would be an event that, like wind, weather, theft, then yes, it could be. But again, you're subject to your deductible. And on top of that, if you are claims free, is it worth making a claim? Again, it depends on how much you have wrapped up into this, and where would the coverage come from? This would come under your personal property. So it's kind of a weird situation. Like I said, I've never talked to anyone that needed to make a claim about this, but as more and more people are doing the more elaborate decorating of their houses, I can kind of see that. Now, one caveat that I just thought of is, let's say that you want to do like a haunted house at your house for, no, I'm not saying you're charging money, but just, having kids in the neighborhood come through and stuff like that. I would be very cautious about doing that, just because there's a lot of things that go into that, and you can't really, as the homeowner, you can't really regulate who comes on and who goes in. So not really the best idea to do that when it comes to a potential, situation that happens. But if it's for close friends and family, sure. But to anybody, buyer beware there. Buyer beware. So that is it. That is our fall seasonal home insurance questions answered. If you guys or gals have any other questions, please let me know. I always like to answer people's questions, because I guarantee if you have a question, there's at least one more person out there that has the same exact question. So let's get those questions answered. And you might be like, well, Ryan, how do I get you my question? You can comment on this video. You can shoot me a message on Facebook. Here's the office number here at Abbott and Powers, as well as my personal email here. So that's that. That is our Again, seasonal home insurance questions answered. I hope everyone has a great week. And if there's any other videos that you would like me to do, please get a hold of me, because I would love to do, um, love to cover any and all questions that you guys and gals might have. So everyone, get out, have a great week. The weather should be fantastic, and I will see you next week.